So what happened to Crozer-Chester Medical Center and Taylor Hospital? What really happened? What is the real cause of them closing? Now, if you ask Prospect Medical, who owns Crozer, they will feed you a line of information, and I'll read directly from what they said. Nearly all the hospitals Prospect acquired were cash-starved, neglected, in disrepair, and on the verge of closure or bankruptcy. In nearly every instance, no one else wanted to acquire them, and many were headed for closure. This is from their spokesperson. They also said, noting the company has invested more than $750 million in the hospitals and provided more than $900 million in charity and uncompensated care to patients. Now, okay, we're going to set that aside for a second, but I am going to come back to that. But let's talk a little bit about what we really need to understand, which is, who is Prospect Medical Holding? And this is something that the local news hasn't really peeled the onion back on. And a few people around the country have, and I'm going to share some of the information they found and some of the information I found as well, because I think it's important that we understand who owns Prospect Medical Holding, what motivated them to buy hospital systems that were on the verge of closure or bankruptcy, right? Were they these altruistic people who wanted to save the world and find a way to make these hospitals viable and profitable? Or were they people who saw an opportunity to make a lot of money by taking advantage of systems that were struggling, right? I think it's the latter. That's just my opinion. And I think some of the information I'm going to share with you will show you why I feel that way. So let's go to the beginning here. The beginning is Crozer-Chester Medical Center started out as two separate groups. There was Crozer Hospital, and there was Chester Hospital, and there was Crozer Hospital, which was formed out of a foundation based to help with a disaster that happened in the late 1800s. So this hospital, in various forms, has been around for over 100 years. It's been through good times. It's been through good times in a city that was thriving at one point. And it's been through bad times and really rough times in a city that really has struggled. And I would venture to say that there has been times where this hospital system has survived through times in a city that were rougher than today. So why now? Why all of a sudden is there an issue with Crozer not being able to sustain itself? Now, I'm not here to say that Crozer was perfect before Prospect Medical came in. They've always had some issues. They've always struggled to find a way to break even or turn a profit. And that comes with being in an area where there is some lower income poverty issues. And but that was known. That was known before Prospect Medical came in. Okay, so who is Prospect Medical? Prospect Medical owns a series of hospital groups throughout the country. And what's going on with Crozer already happened in LA with Prospect Medical, and is potentially will happen now with the rest of the hospital groups. But Prospect Medical was started by a group of doctors and a private equity firm, right, to go out and acquire these hospital groups. Now, what is the goal of private equity? Now, private equity's goal is to identify companies that they can buy, go in, fix up. And fix up is typically, think Gordon Gekko from Wall Street in the 80s, or the guy who bought Scott Paper and came in with a chainsaw and just cut staff, cut expenses, turn it profitable just long enough to sell it, right? So that's private equity. That is a rough summary of what private equity wants to do. They want to go into a company. They want to cut the waste, get it profitable, turn a profit. Okay. Now, if you do that properly, right? If you are really good at identifying companies that are wasteful, and you can go in and make them profitable, turn them around, make them stronger, healthier. That's good for customers. That's good for the investors. That can be good for the employees that work there, right? If a company is on the verge of no longer being around, and then the company can become stronger financially, that's a good thing. And the community that it's in, because then it's still there, still getting tax income off of that company being there, and people earning money, and you have a healthy community if you have good businesses in it. That is all true. Problem is that that's not what all private equity really cares about sometimes. It's just, there, just like anything, there's good and bad. The problem here is that this private equity group and the owners of Prospect Medical just went in, leveraged the assets, from what I'm seeing, leveraged the assets of Crozer Medical, and took that money, paid themselves, and now they're out. They're declaring bankruptcy. They can't pay their bills anymore. So I'm going to break that down a little bit here for you, but that is essentially what happened. Okay? So Prospect Medical, a big private equity owner of them was Leonard Green and Partners. Leonard Green and Partners is a private equity firm. Now, I'm not here to trash private equity. I'm not here to trash the free market. I'm a free market guy. I think that while not a perfect system, it's the best thing we have to allow people to go from one place and potentially get to another through the free market system. Is it perfect? No. Are there people that take advantage of it? Yes. Do I think that healthcare needs to be really careful about the free market and it being privatized? Yes, I do worry about that because, quite frankly, the free market and private ownership the privatization of medical care, right? The track record right now is not too great. We're seeing hospital closures. We're seeing skyrocketing costs. So, like, if there's a better option, let's explore it, or let's do this better. But let's get back to the topic at hand. Let's get back to Crozer. So, Leonard Green and Partners is a part owner of Prospect Medical, along with the doctors that started this. What they do is they go back, and let's go back here to... Let's go back to about 2018. All right. So from 2010 to 2021, private equity firm Leonard Green and Partners controlled a majority stake in Prospect Medical. So apparently they no longer own, or they no longer have a majority stake in Prospect Medical, but it does not mean that they aren't responsible for the things that have happened. So CBS News had reported on a series of financial moves the company took to issue leadership and I'm quoting from this article, to issue leadership a $457 million dividend in 2018. So Prospect Medical CEO at the time, Sam Lee, took home about $90 million, while Leonard Green shareholders were paid $257 million. All right, so what the hell does that mean? It means that they essentially took money, assets from the hospital, took it from there, and then put it in their pockets, right? They didn't improve the hospital. They didn't make it more profitable. They weren't rewarding themselves for positive outcomes and increased value in the hospital. What they did was they just essentially looked at these hospital systems, saw assets, raped those assets, put the money in their pocket, and now they're out. Bankruptcy. Sorry, guys. Let's blame the people that live in those communities for the failure of this hospital system, because clearly these hospital systems across the country, let's blame the communities, and we're going to ignore that we took almost $500 million away from these systems that could have been used to strengthen them, to provide better service, more efficient service, to maybe become profitable. We'll never know, because they use those assets to put it in their pockets. Now, Like I said, private equity, that's their job, right? Is to go in and turn a company profitable for their shareholders, which they didn't make it profitable. They made a profit by just pulling assets. So what did they do? How did they get that money? How do hospital systems that are struggling have the ability to give $457 million in dividends? Well, they used debt, and they sold real estate. What do hospitals have a lot of? Real estate, right? They own big buildings on big pieces of land, and why not just sell that? So it looks like what they did was they sold those pieces of real estate to a real estate investment trust. Basically, think just a private real estate group that owns all this, and then they turned around and had the hospitals rent back their own properties that they've forced them to sell from these equity groups, from this real estate investment trust. All right, so they went from owning real estate to now they have no assets of ownership, and they're having to pay these leases. Plus, these leases, I'm not going to get too into detail about commercial real estate and the types of leases, but the leases they have in place in these properties we're requiring the hospital to not only pay rent, to cover all the expenses of the hospital and the maintenance of those buildings. So not like, if you rent a house and the roof is going bad, you call a landlord. Sorry, not in this case. You fix it yourself. So what would the benefit be to the hospital system for that? Right now, you could argue like, hey, if the real estate is falling apart and there's a real estate investment group that can come in and fix those properties up more efficiently and lower costs, but that's not what happened. It doesn't look like the cost went down for Crozer. It just looked like a way to create debt, create assets, create money from the sale, and then create debt by borrowing, and then taking that money and not reinvesting it into the businesses, but putting it into the owners of the private equity firm, shareholders, and also to Prospect Holding CEO, and in various ways paying that out, right, through fees and services charged by the private equity firm or other companies that are owned by that group, to basically funnel money from the hospital system, pull assets away, put it in their pockets, and then be done with it. So herein lies the problem with private equity in the healthcare system at this point, because we are seeing this creep in. I think I read somewhere that it was like almost 30% of hospital systems in this country have some form of private equity ownership. So beware. This is going to happen more often. This is not the end of it. So what's the solution here? I don't know what we really can do about it at this point. But that real estate, you would hope, well, the real estate's owned by a real estate investment trust. You'd hope that another medical group can come in, buy that real estate back, probably for an arm and a leg from the real estate investment trust, and restart a hospital system there, because it's neat. There's over 500,000 people in Delaware County. And this system didn't just serve Delaware County. It's very close to the Delaware state line. Delaware has Christiana Care, but I'm sure Crozer was used by residents of Delaware, Chester County, possibly Philadelphia as well. And Delaware County's left with over 500,000 people. They're left with two major hospitals at this point: Fitzgerald Mercy, not a massive hospital by any stretch, and Riddle, which is a good-sized hospital, but probably can't. Those two healthcare systems can't handle over 500,000 people. It's going to cause delays in care, added response times for emergencies. It's putting people at risk. Why? To pay out to private equity. That's it. I went on Leonard Green and Partners LinkedIn page to see what they had, if there was any press releases, any information. No, there wasn't. They did have a press release about how they had won some award for in 2023 or 2024 for deals they had done. And I made a comment asking if they felt that Prospect Medical was a good deal for the community and what they did. And that comment was immediately deleted from their LinkedIn page. So they clearly don't really want to speak to it. And gosh, I mean, I wouldn't either if I had basically done that to a community and basically took a hospital. It's not like you went and it's not like it was like some .com company, some like app or something that you're going, you know what, I'm going to buy this piece of technology, this little thing, and I'm going to go in, I'm going to pull as much money as I can from it, and then I'm going to just dump it. I'm going to try and sell it, or if it goes bankrupt, it goes bankrupt, but at least I did this. It doesn't hurt many people, right? Maybe, unfortunately, it would hurt the employees of that company, but it isn't a hospital system. It isn't. I mean, these people went and purchased hospitals, and then instead of improving them or even just throwing their hands up and saying, hey, this is a bit much for us. We bit off more than we can chew. We can't fix these the way we thought we could. Let us sell them as they are. No, they went and just pulled as much money out of them as possible, and now they're going bankrupt. So those are the things that I wish the news was reporting on more when it comes to the closing of these hospitals. And I wish the public knew this more, that it isn't just this Prospect Medical holding that mismanaged or got in trouble because these hospitals aren't profitable, right? That is not the accurate story here. They seem to have had a plan here. And if they couldn't make these things profitable, they sure as hell were going to suck them dry of every dollar they could and then watch it sink. So, hey, tell me what you think in the comments, and keep an eye out for more videos like this. If you like this, please like the video. Please subscribe. And I feel like every other these YouTubers out there, so I feel like I know what I have to say. But what I really want to do is try and bring you information that you might not find elsewhere and might find interesting. So give me some ideas in the comments, as well as things you'd like me to tell you more about and dig into. Talk to you soon.